In a world that often feels rushed and disconnected, it's the small, unexpected moments of connection that truly matter. Sometimes, that connection comes from the most unlikely of places: a wagging tail, a gentle nudge, a furry friend who asks for nothing but gives everything. Today, we're going to share the story of one such special dog, a golden retriever named Buddy, and the top 5 times his simple acts of kindness brought a smile to a stranger's face. These aren't staged or planned. They're real, raw moments of joy, reminding us that goodness is all around us, often holding a leash. Our first story begins on a chilly autumn afternoon in a busy city park. People are rushing by, heads down, lost in their own worlds. An elderly man, let's call him Arthur, sits alone on a bench. He's been coming to this same bench every day for weeks, just watching the world go by, a quiet sadness in his eyes. On this particular day, Buddy and I were out for our usual walk. Buddy, being his curious self, suddenly pulled me towards Arthur's bench. He stopped right in front of him, sat down, and just looked up with those big, soulful eyes. Arthur was a bit startled at first. He looked at Buddy, then at me, as if asking for permission. I just smiled and nodded. Hesitantly, Arthur reached out a trembling hand and gently stroked Buddy's head. Buddy leaned into the touch, letting out a soft, contented sigh. And then, it happened. A small, genuine smile spread across Arthur's face, the first one he'd shown in a long time. He started talking to Buddy, telling him about his own dog who had passed away years ago. For those few minutes, Arthur wasn't a lonely old man on a park bench. He was a friend, sharing a moment with another friend. That simple connection, that shared memory sparked by a friendly dog, was a powerful reminder that no one is ever truly alone. Next, we fast forward to a crowded farmer's market on a sunny Saturday. The air is filled with the sounds of vendors shouting, music playing, and people laughing. Amidst all the chaos, a young mother is struggling. She's trying to manage a crying toddler in a stroller, a bag of groceries that's about to burst, and her own frayed nerves. You could see the stress etched on her face. As we navigated through the crowd, Buddy, with his incredible intuition, seemed to sense her distress. He trotted over and gently nudged the toddler's dangling hand with his nose. The little boy stopped crying instantly, his tear-filled eyes widening with curiosity. He giggled and reached out to pat Buddy's soft fur. The mother looked down, and her expression completely changed. The tension melted away, replaced by a look of sheer relief and gratitude. She looked up at me and mouthed the words, "Thank you." It was a tiny interaction in a sea of people, but for that one mom, it was a lifeline. A moment of peace in a hectic day, all thanks to a dog who knew exactly what was needed. Buddy didn't solve all her problems, but he gave her a moment to breathe, a moment to smile, and that was more than enough. Our third encounter is one I'll never forget. It happened late one evening at a subway station. It was mostly empty, except for a young student sitting on the floor, surrounded by textbooks and notes. He looked completely exhausted and overwhelmed, his head in his hands. It was clearly finals week. The pressure was palpable. Buddy and I were waiting for our train, and Buddy, as usual, was on a mission. He walked over to the student and laid down beside him, resting his head on a stack of books. He didn't whine or bark. He just lay there, a silent, furry companion offering support. The student looked up, a bit confused, and then a slow, tired smile appeared on his face. He put down his pen and just started stroking Buddy's back, the repetitive motion seeming to calm his nerves. He started whispering to Buddy, "You think I'm going to pass, don't you?" It was a moment of pure, unscripted therapy. A dog, a complete stranger, providing comfort without a single word. In that moment of intense academic pressure, Buddy reminded him to take a break, to connect with the present, and to remember that there's more to life than exams. A small act of kindness with a huge impact. The fourth story takes place in a quiet, residential neighborhood. We were walking past a house where a man was struggling to carry a large, heavy box from his car. He was grunting and straining, trying to maneuver it up his driveway. Just as he was about to lose his grip, Buddy, who had been watching intently, suddenly let out a single, sharp bark. It wasn't an aggressive bark, more of an ahem, look here kind of sound. A neighbor, who had been gardening in her front yard, looked up at the sound. She saw the man struggling, immediately put down her trowel and rushed over to help. Together, they easily carried the box into the house. The man was so grateful, and they both looked over at Buddy and laughed. "I guess your dog was my lookout," the man said. Buddy just wagged his tail, happy to have been of service. It was a beautiful example of how one small action can inspire another. Buddy couldn't carry the box himself, but his little alert was the catalyst that brought two neighbors together to help one another. He was the connector, the spark that ignited a moment of community and kindness. And that brings us to our final story, number 5. This one is perhaps the simplest, yet the most profound. We were at a crosswalk, waiting for the light to change. Standing next to us was a man in a crisp business suit, staring intently at his phone, a deep frown on his face. He was clearly having a stressful day at work. The light changed, and as the walk sign lit up, Buddy, who was sitting patiently, looked up at the man and gave a little woof, as if to say, "Hey, it's time to go." The man was snapped out of his trance. He looked down at Buddy, then at the lit-up sign, and then back at his phone. He shook his head, put the phone in his pocket, and broke into a wide grin. He reached down and gave Buddy a quick pat. "Thanks for the reminder, pal," he said. "I needed that." We walked across the street together, and for the rest of the block, the man kept smiling to himself. Buddy's simple, timely interruption broke the cycle of stress. It pulled the man out of the digital world and back into the real one, reminding him to be present, to look up, and to maybe not take things so seriously. 5 different people, 5 different situations, one common thread. A dog who sees the world not with judgment, but with an open heart. Buddy doesn't know about deadlines, or air thatches, or the stresses of daily life. He just knows how to offer comfort, how to spark a connection, and how to make people smile. These moments teach us so much. They teach us that kindness doesn't need to be a grand gesture. It can be as simple as a gentle nudge, a comforting presence, or a well-timed woof. In a world that can sometimes feel divided and cold, these small encounters are proof that goodness, empathy, and joy are still very much alive. We just have to be open to seeing them, and sometimes it takes a 4-legged friend to show us the way. Thank you for joining us on this journey with Buddy. If these stories touched your heart, please share them with someone who might need a smile today. Don't forget to like and subscribe for more heartwarming moments. Until next time, keep an eye out for the small acts of kindness all around you.